presented by Chevrolet.
I was a teenager when I had Deja. I don't mean that as an excuse. Well, maybe I do. I don't know. She's special, though, isn't she? I know all mothers think that, but I think she's really special, you know?
She is.
I was so appreciative of this character because it's not uncommon to have a young, single mother who's trying to do the best she can for her daughter, but it is uncommon to see it displayed so beautifully in this type of platform. So I was really appreciative that we got to see Shauna's life as well and how Deja became who she is.
It was so funny, you know, listening to sort of the feedback from people. It was kind of like they were so ready to like be anti-Shauna and sort of be so mad at her, like, I'm so team Randall, I'm never gonna see anybody else. But it's like, I think in that moment they were like, oh, there's no right or wrong. You know what I mean? There's a humanity there.
Yeah.
And so it was just sort of like, it allows us to say like, let's take a risk. And you know, this is us as nothing if not risk takers.
Right.
Like,
There's something about the idea of people doing the best that they can with what they've got. It is always people trying.
Yep.
So when you have a character like Shauna, played beautifully by Joy, that comes in and you can't just stereotypically say, here's the team mama who ain't do what she's supposed to do, just give the baby to Randall and Beth. It's like you have to now sit with her and see what her journey was, see who she was influenced by, see what was passed on to her through other generations and what she is trying to do for this child. May fall short, may not, but somewhere she's trying.
I never seen her acting like that, like she was tonight.
Like what?
Like a kid.
one of the things that we talked about since episode 203, I believe, when Deja was introduced, was just sort of creating a world and a narrative where we fall in love with a character that comes into Randall and Beth's life. And so for us, you know, being gifted with Lyric Ross and yourself, you know, playing these characters, we sort of got to a place where we wanted to reintroduce Deja, and we wanted to do it in a way that was meaningful and sort of had this beautiful arc of a journey. And so once we sort of laid the foundation in episode 16, it felt so natural. It was the most organic thing that we had done in a very long time. And Dan just sort of looked at the board and said, we should sort of tell the story of how Deja got to this point.
I love that our show is able to follow any character, and it's not out of character for our show to do it. There's this innate sense that everybody in life and in the world is important, and everybody has a story. So even though we're highlighting this big three, then we start to get who the big three, you know, their sort of individual relationships outside of the family. Then we start to get the relationships of those people, and then it's the fireman who dropped the baby off at the, you know what I mean?
And it just grows and grows.
I failed Deja.
No, you didn't.
No, I failed her, and I can't keep failing her. You know what I always say to her? I say, what would I do without you? I've been saying that to her since she was 5. Who puts that on a kid? That scene was heartbreaking for me. I think it was heartbreaking for Shauna. It was kind of the first time she really saw this family that kind of had it together. And not only had it together, but had a love for their children, had fun with their children, and also loved my child. And so Shauna's like, well, maybe what I'm doing isn't the best for Deja, which is heartbreaking to realize that you may not be the best thing for your child.
Oof. We're always aware of the fact that there are people who are watching the show and are experiencing similar things. We also want to be mindful of those people who are saying like, no, but I made it work. We are there for you. We see you. We understand that. While we know a lot of people will stick it out and find beautiful futures and beautiful lives, for this particular character's choice, this is what she felt was right for her.
Yeah.
I gotta go. And I can't take her with me.
I don't think anyone ever sets out to be like, you know what? I'm gonna be a villain. You know what? I'm gonna be a bad person. It's like no one ever sets out with those intentions. It's just sort of like the choices that you make have ramifications and they impact your life and the lives of people around you. So for the people who may be like, oh, Shauna's neglectful, she's this, she's that, I'm like, potentially that's your way of seeing it. And I think that's something that we were sort of working to get Shauna to sort of make that decision. We wanted Shauna to finally, you know, at some point just sort of say like, you know what, I'm gonna bridge the gap. It happened with my mother, it happened with me, but I'm gonna do something to make sure it doesn't happen with Deja. And so it's like, that's kind of the cycle we were trying to explore and see what happens as a result of it. Now, what ends up happening as a result, you know, in the future, this is us, you know? We'll find out.